Okay, I promised to come back and teach you how to find least common multiple using a different method, the ladder method. Same as before, need this to help us learn how to find a least common denominator when we start working with fractions. So you've already learned how to create a ladder in lesson 3.3, and we used it to find the GCF. It's going to be the same exact ladder support, but this time what's different is you're going to multiply all of the values in the L shape, not just the vertical part. That's really the only difference. Let's highlight that. So it's the same exact thing. You simply multiply the values in the L shape. I think I said ladder shape. L shape. So you know when I put a big hand up or a caution sign that means pay attention. So this is really important. The ladder method, how I'm presenting it here, will only find the LCM for two values. The prime factorization method might be preferable for LCM when you have more values. If you want to know how to use the modified ladder, we're going to be doing an enrichment in Unit 3 for that, and I'll teach you how to use this modified ladder. So I know we use the ladder for GCF for multiple values more than 2, but it doesn't work the same for LCM, and that's really important. So to find the LCM of 16 and 40, we did this before, except when I did it before, I did it with GCF. It comes from the same notes that I did before, the same ladder. I factored out an 8. It went into 16 twice, went into 45. So again, my ladder is finished when the bottom, the horizontal part of the ladder has no common factors other than 1. The only difference being now you might really want to make the L shape around it. Just sort of remind you that you need everything in there multiplied together. So 8 times 2 times 5, 8 times 10, that's 80. So you have to multiply the entire L. It's really the only difference. So did the same example, except it showed a longer ladder, but you can see that you'll get the same result. So when you multiply all of these values together, this whole L right here, it just gives you more stuff to multiply. It's actually easier up here with a smaller ladder, but I just kind of grouped my 2's together to get 4, these 2 to get 4, 4 times 4. Oh, actually, it looks like I did 4 times 5 to get 20, and 20 times 4 is 80. Remember, when you multiply, it doesn't matter what order you multiply the factors. So pretty simple. And again, most people prefer the ladder over prime factorization. It's just a little less work. So here's another couple of examples looking for LCM. Remember, when you see 20 and 32, if you're thinking 4, you're thinking about greatest common factor. That's the greatest number that divides evenly into 20 and 32. Remember, we're looking for numbers that 20 and 32 are factors of. They go into something else. So it has to be at least as big as 32, and in our case, it has to be bigger because 20 doesn't divide into 32. So I started with my ladder. I factored out a 4. I got 5 and 8. 5 and 8 have no common factors, so I'm multiplying everything together in the L. 4 times 5 times 8. That's 20 times 8, 160. Simple. There's really no ladder needed for LCM for 7 and 12. When you notice that you have two numbers that have no common factors other than 1, well, you just have to find the product of the two values. If you should make a ladder, the only thing you'll be able to factor out over here is a 1. And 1 will go into 7 7 times, and 1 will go into 12 12 times. You're going to have to multiply 7 and 12 anyway, but the only time you can just multiply the two numbers together to get the LCM is when they have no common factors other than 1. So we've got a few to try on your own. Again, I suggest you pause the video and work them out, and then come back and see how you did. If you're going to stay with us, or if you're back, either way, just draw your ladder. You might start with 12. 12 goes into 48 4 times, 12 into 36 3 times. 3 and 4 have no common factors other than 1. So I'm ready to multiply everything in my L together. So I would just write LCM equals, and just write every number that's in the L and multiply it together. So we've got 12 times 12, which we should know is 144. Let's try 56 and 32. You might practice a little bit when you're doing these problems thinking about GCF so that you don't do it that way. But GCF for 56 and 32, I believe, would be 8. Well, let's make our ladder. The beauty of the ladder method is really it's the same exact work for LCM or GCF. You just multiply different parts of it together. So if I factor out an 8, I would get 7 here and 4 here. 7 and 4 have nothing else in common other than 1. So the GCF is 8. And the LCM is the product of everything in the L. So the LCM is 8 times 7 times 4. 8 times 7 is 56. 4 times 6 is 24. Carry the 2. 4 times 5 is 20 plus the 2. I got 224. And that is not what I got on my notes, so I'm looking at it for a second to try to figure out where I may have gone wrong. Oh, I see my mistake. This is correct. I need to change it on my notes key. So for review purposes, we might just come over to the side and remind ourselves that the GCF is 8. Remember, that's the vertical part of the L shape. We didn't ask for that here, but it's just a good thing to review. So one more time, you have to know both methods for assessment purposes, and you have to know which is which. Have a good night.